Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with here's the real host.
Oh man, here he go.
Of course. I'm gonna keep that energy all year, or all the way through next year. Good to have you though, Meah.
No, always, man. We're happy that everybody's tuned in once again here on the 116 Life. We have a great one, and here's one thing I like about the 116 Life, Ace.
For sure.
I really like that we bring people on who people may know, and
right.
As be familiar faces, but also we bring the hidden gems. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we put people on when it comes to certain guests. And y'all, we have a gem. We have a hidden gem this week.
Gem.
He is here, man. We have Logan Russel here on the show. Logan.
Thank you.
How you doing, my
Logan
friend?
Russell.
I'm feeling good. A little, hitting that season of, nose and throat and everything.
Cough drops, tea.
Yeah.
It's that season.
I know the feeling, brother. I'm recovering right now.
I know everyone. See how they simultaneously picked up their cups.
Oh, yeah,
They're like, I need something for my throat already.
And we can argue that drinking while on a podcast, this looks cool.
It does.
It's like, oh, brand placement? What?
Right. Listen, we're so happy to have you on. So let's go ahead and dive in because I really want for people to be able to know more about who you are, what you do, because it's just the story that you carry on that also plays a part here at Reach, but then also people may not know how essential you are behind the scenes. So just go ahead and talk about who you are, who Logan is, and what you do.
Yeah. So, I've been here at Reach for 8 years. Just celebrated a month ago. Crazy. But I run our music licensing, publishing side of stuff. So just making sure stuff is registered and properly. And but my main role is kind of in the sync licensing space. So pitching all of the artists' songs for opportunities for commercials or TV shows or, anything in the video world. And so basically just communicating with those partners and people and trying to get some cool stuff.
Shout out Logan. Logan, man, look.
Makes it happen.
She said the word gym earlier. No, Logan's like a Reach Records treasure. Like this guy adds so much value to us on the team and in the company culture, but he works behind the scenes and just be crushing it, getting these syncs, and it's really good to have you, man. But you said 8 years, I feel like it was long because I've been here 7. How'd you get to Reach Records? What was your initial start? Tell us what that looked like when you first came over here.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Washington State, Olympia. It's about an hour south of Seattle, and I, was a fan of Reach growing up. And saw an internship opportunity. And so I actually applied months earlier and got denied by Katie.
Hey, Katie.
She denies it, but, I got the email.
You got the receipts?
Yeah, I got the receipts.
Okay. Sorry.
But then the second time I applied, I got in and I had 2 weeks to get down here. And so I just
wow.
Bought a flight, packed 2 bags of luggage, and literally by the grace of God found housing the hour or two before my flight. It was definitely a God moment of
wow.
Coming here.
How did you feel on that flight? I'm thinking you must have been super.
Well, so it was I think it was a Tuesday or something the flight was, and I remember talking to my pastor on Sunday and being I don't have any housing. I don't know anybody in Atlanta. Am I crazy? Or it was just kind of walking in faith or and so, I was pretty nervous. And then luckily got connected with a pastor down here who let me stay in his house for a week and kind of helped me figure out housing from there. Once I got down here.
It's amazing.
So what do you remember your intern experience being like? Were you nervous? Like you said, you're a fan of Reach growing up. So you see walking around, seeing everybody, seeing all the artists, being in the mix. How did you feel? What was your intern experience like?
Yeah. So it's a different building too than where we were here. Mm-hmm. And it was very open and you could just hear everything. And so it was so awkward.
Was that a good?
And so I walk in, like I have to like ring the doorbell. Somebody comes and gets me, and I walk in, and it's just like quiet and like totally different atmosphere than it is now. And so I don't know. I just remember like I had to wait for like 45 minutes while somebody like was finishing up something else and like finally talked to me. There was another intern that started at the same time, and we were just like, what are we doing? Like, like, should we do something? I don't know. Yeah, I remember like it took a little bit to like warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was also like a feeling of like, you know, like obviously God's got me here and things will work out.
For sure.
But
what made you want to work in music specifically? Coming from Washington State, Olympia, that's like probably I'm sure a 4 or 5 hour flight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you went to college. I'm assuming.
No,
You didn't go to college.
well,
right? you got some credits.
I got yeah, I have a year of
Shout
college.
out to college dropouts. You know,
YouTube University can
Hey,
hook
come
you
on.
up. You know what I'm saying?
So what made you take that? I mean, that's a very big bet on a career that doesn't have a lot of like clear pathways to get where
sure.
you are now.
Yeah,
What made
yeah.
you take that leap? Was it your love and passion for music mixed with your faith? Like what went into that decision?
I mean, in high school, let's just say this, I had a musical past, let's say.
Okay.
Maybe wanted to, you know, be a part of Reach in some musical way. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
So is there a Logan Russel demo in the?
I was going to say a mixtape or
Trust
something
me.
because I'll find it.
Trust me, everything is off the internet now.
Oh my goodness.
Made sure of that before the internship. And so I think there was just like a musically wanting to be involved, and it really wasn't until I did like a church internship out of high school. Mm-hmm. And out of that was like this, I really felt like God put it on my heart to, like a desire for the business side of things.
Wow.
Which I didn't know there was a music business side of things.
Yeah.
And I actually remember going to, I think it was the Anomaly tour or something like that.
It was a Seattle stop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had like ended up buying like a pre-show like pass or whatever. And Andy was just like answering questions and doing stuff. And I remember I was the last question of the session. And I had asked like, hey, like, obviously there's the music side, the musical, like producer, artist side of things. But is that it? Like, is there anything else? And he was just like, you know, there's tour managers, there's, you know, tour hands, there's like record label, like all this stuff. And I was like,
whoa.
like, I didn't even like think about that. I just thought like, you know, these artists, Lecrae just puts it out and people buy it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing that in that moment, Andy putting you on game about the, excuse me, the different roles in the music business and kind of opening your world and view to what was possible only for 8 to, or even 10 years later, for you to be working in the music business at the record label he signed to and landing some of his biggest sinks in the
That is
history of
crazy.
Reach Records.
Yeah.
What a like, yeah.
Like a connect, for real connector. So I'm curious. So if you were now introduced to the world that plays behind the music, so how did you meet with sync and like all that syncing music and things like that? How did you get introduced to that part of it and get interested in it too?
Yeah. Well, for starters, had, you know, no idea it was a world.
Yeah.
But when I started working here, I was Ben Washer's assistant, who started Reach, and then with Lecrae. And so I was his assistant for about a year, and by that time, there was two guys. Technically, one guy who was kind of like transitioning out, and he was just kind of, I don't know, stuck with handling these license requests and stuff. You know, it really wasn't like his role. And so he was just like, hey, can you do this? Can you like look it over? And
As an intern?
no, as Ben's assistant.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was just like looking at this and I was like, people pay for like songs, like for shows and for trailers and stuff. And so honestly, that like got me really excited seeing that, like, you know, we're constantly hearing about the like streaming, or like, you know, artists aren't getting paid enough for like, or like songwriters, all this stuff. But it was really cool to see this translation of like, oh, people are buying art in the music world and paying like art money for it. You know, I relate this all the time. Like in the art world, you hear a painting like sold for $1 million and you're like, that's crazy. Like, I'm gonna make some art. Like, and like, I kind of feel like that is like the sync world, like businesses, trailers, like all this stuff. Obviously it's good. Like, you know, you get to say like, you know, Nike used my song or like something like that, but you also get paid a good sum of money for like these placements.
That's so cool.
And so, yeah, I feel like it's just one of those moments where you see like art really valued, and they're like, hey, I'm going to pay you $100,000 for this song because I think it'll complement what I'm doing very well. And like connect those dots.
That's so cool. Shout out this. I mean, it's complicated in a climate of the streaming era, which obviously we live in the middle in, and you know, we, you know, as a business, but it's really cool. And it also gives a lot of creative opportunity to make money in ways that they don't always make it on the streaming sales side, given the construct of the music business, which I'm sure people can debate whether that's a good thing or not all through the comments. But I think the sync world, because I mean, even as I think about it, Logan, like, I ain't gonna say my age, not to age me out, but there was a time in artistry and in culture where brands and bands syncing music together was actually considered like selling out.
Yeah.
It was not cool to get for a commercial to use your song.
Oh, wow.
Or for you to stand next to a brand. And because the purest of the artist mindset was, and talk about how things are just totally different now. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's crazy. I feel like there was like a few like moments in the industry where they were like, okay, we'll partner with you on this one time, or like, what was it, like Run DMC and Adidas and like just little moments like that. But I definitely it is crazy to see how it's like, oh, you need to get into the sync world. Like that is like a huge topic now versus, I don't know, probably 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Yeah, for sure. Definitely would love to get into more of your story on the next segment, and how you just obviously like even your upbringing in Olympia. I don't want to say Seattle. I'm gonna keep it 100.
Hey.
Shout out Macklemore. I had to troll you. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with Meah Evans.
Evans. And also we got Logan Russel right here,
Only
y'all.
Low.
Hey.
We'll be right back here on the 116 Life. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with
Meah Evans, here with Logan Russel,
Yeah.
our guest right here. Y'all, we have a great conversation learning a lot about Logan and syncs, the fact that the placements that he's played or how to play a part here when it comes to reach. And we want to get more into your upbringing. I'm still laughing at the fact that Ace said Macklemore. That is so funny to me. Okay, so we were talking off air a little bit about, you said you grew up in Olympia. What was like, you know, your upbringing like? Like, did you grow up in church? How did you get to know God for yourself? How did you begin to get introduced to this 116 life that you're living?
Yeah, I mean, I like both my parents are believers, and like I grew up in going to church, like being in that kind of household. Like I definitely like there's some things like I feel like my mom had really strong faith, and my dad too. Just I remember waking up and like he was always just like flipping through the word like in the morning. And so I feel like I had good examples growing up. And like I remember praying. I've gone through a lot of like health stuff in my life, and so like I feel like that always brings you closer. Or like God, don't like I don't want to feel sick anymore. Like I want to like and so I went through a lot of that, and but it really wasn't until I would say like 8th grade where my like faith really started to take shape. I had a teacher who was, literally the simplest little phrase, but was just like, it wasn't until like I moved out of the house or whatever that I owned my faith. And I was like, I've never thought about just like, this is my faith and like not my parents' faith anymore. And so I would say high school definitely was where my like faith was developed. And, I like started listening through hip hop more like 6th grade, I would say. Like I grew up not listening to hip hop. Like our household was like oldies and like country music. And so
did your parents allow you guys to listen to like secular music, quote unquote? Like, or was it very, how loose was like the temperature on listening to other kinds of music?
What's funny is like, we never listened to like Christian like radio or like music, like sermon stuff, yes, but it was always like Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, like those kind of vibes.
Okay,
and then like country stations. So it wasn't like a problem with like secular music at all. Obviously, like hip hop says a little bit more profanity, and so that was always the concern in our household. So I feel like I always had to sneak listen. Like my brother had like bootleg CDs.
What artist?
I was gonna ask that too. Yeah, I was like, who we sneaking in the house?
Macklemore? No, not Macklemore.
I'm gonna keep trolling them. Sorry.
Honestly, I had like. Who is it? Naughty by Nature. I have this CD. I don't know if I still have it, but it was like not like 2000s hip hop. I feel like.
Right.
It was. Dang, I'm trying to remember who else was on it.
That's the irony of Naughty by Nature's infamous song, which is a hit record.
Yeah.
Like, and you really peel back the lyrics on that song, you're like, oh yeah, okay. Other people's property. Okay, got it.
And then like I remember at one point my sister had come down to the South here, and I think it was actually Texas because she'd come for like some Katrina like hurricane stuff.
Okay.
Like helping out after that. And I remember she got me these like, those like gas station CDs.
Logan with the gas station vibes.
Like Young Jeezy, like straight up like mixtape.
Oh yeah. She brought them for you?
Yeah,
Your sister brought you Young Jeezy mixtapes?
Yeah, she brought me some of these and I was just like always jamming them. And yeah.
Logan's music collection was loaded, y'all.
Just put them on Gucci Mane.
Right, you had that real stuff.
It's so funny because you know what my first CD was? Like I think I was like 8 years old. The only CD that I wanted for my birthday was this like Charlie Daniels Greatest Hits.
Oh my gosh.
And then I go to like these like Jeezy mixtapes.
Hearing you say that now and being around you in the office, it makes sense. Like, I mean, you are very much comfortable in your own skin. You are who you are. But I've seen you in other spaces, specifically like hip hop spaces, and Logan's hanging, y'all. He's like at the cookout, comfortable.
Yeah, because he had that Jeezy growing up.
But I want to dig a little bit more, and let me know if this is comfortable to ask. But yeah. I think it's important for people to hear the fullness of your story. You mentioned some health stuff. What was that like specifically, and how did you and how are you overcoming some of those health challenges? If you could share, so that people can just
Yeah. So in elementary school, basically, it was like my last 2 years, so fifth grade and 6th grade, or like into 4th grade. I ended up homeschooling halfway through 5th grade and homeschooled 6th grade. Just, I don't know. I just had stomach issues and stuff. Went to doctors, like stayed in a hospital for like a couple days, and like they did a bunch of tests. Never could figure out anything, but I would just basically like feel sick to my stomach like all the time. And so, yeah, like I would say that definitely like, unfortunately, but fortunately, like brought me closer to God. Just because it was like, you know, you don't know what to turn to or who to turn to. So that, and then I kind of like, I don't know what happened, but kind of ended up going to a summer camp my freshman year and getting prayed for and just like coming out of that. And so, and then in that same freshman year earlier, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Oh.
And so that was just like a whole nother like health thing that like got thrown into. And yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things where I constantly have to depend on God and just have him walk me through stuff. And I know like as I get like older, like there's more complications. So I'm just like, you know, trying to figure out the best moves forward and trying to depend on God the whole time.
And as a married man, I think you have a newborn on the way.
Newborn on the way. Yep.
Shout out Lacey. How do you navigate your health ailments and your like music business responsibilities? Like, talk about how do you get through those tough moments? Because I to be upfront, I've seen Logan. I didn't know this. Dude is super chill, super humble. He's got a servant's heart, y'all. He's just a really like humble, resilient type of dude. One day I'm walking by his office, my man pulls out like the insulin shot, bro. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? I thought he was on some of that snowman or something.
You know, just like
what are you doing, man? In the office?
But
Yo,
I
wow.
mean, you don't carry that ailment like as a crutch.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know that.
I mean, it's okay. I think Lecrae found out like a month ago that I have type 1 diabetes. But I just like, you know, I know how to just shoot up real quick.
Oh my God. Shoot up is crazy.
Yo.
I'll be honest,
we need to chill.
I'm pretty good at it, I will say.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so funny. Like, I could be in a grocery aisle, like, crowded by people, and just like, and nobody notices.
I think that says a lot about who you are. I mean, you seem to be very, you very optimistic energy when I'm around Logan. Just very like, hey, we'll figure it out, man. And I think that speaks to a lot of the success you've been having on the sing side. I mean, we could probably get into, you know, some of the amazing things you've done. Talk about, before we get into, because I do want to spend the last segment going through the highlights, because I think that's important. But I want to talk about so you're interning at Reach. Now you're Ben's assistant. All this backstory, you know, health, faith, family, flying all the way across from Olympia. Reach gets a new building. Did you want to stay Ben's assistant? Did you have aspirations to do more? Or like, how did it get to this moment? You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I was just like kind of in a space where I was just happy to be here, you know?
That's fine. That's Logan.
Yeah, for real?
All day.
Like, I remember thinking like, hey, if I get to like sweep floors here, like cool, but like I get to be around here.
So make no mistake, this kid did sweep floors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I still do.
He was like I mean, like people make that joke about, man, I'm down to do the dirty work. I'm down to take out the trash and sit in the conference room. He literally was doing both. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, say it.
But wait, what was the question again?
Like you said, how did you get so far in? Like, and you said you were happy to be here. Talk about that mindset. Like, how did you? Because you kind of got promoted and success opportunities keep flourishing, but you just kind of were just here, being yourself, adding value, and happy to be here. Like, talk about that journey.
I think it was really some like push from Ben too. Like he was basically like, hey, after like a year and a half, like I don't want you to be my assistant anymore. And so that kind of like coincided with the time where I was getting these like, hey, like check out this licensing placement, or like, you know, figure out that. And so I just kind of got excited about that. You know, I could help artists like create value in their music outside of streaming, outside of that role. Right. And that, you know, they can put it on their like, you know, artist resume, like got this trailer, or got this commercial or whatever. And it just kind of reminded me of high school, just like sharing music with people, except now they have big budgets.
Oh, got it.
So it's just like, you know, in high school, I was always trying to like convince people to listen to this album or listen to this project or whatever. And now it's just basically what I get to do, but different.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would love to dig into some of the highlights, man. So we're going to put a pin in it right here. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140, the Oli Low Story, Logan Russell, Meah Evans. We'll be right back. We'll be right back, y'all. Sorry, it's the Thai chai. Forgive me.
And we're back right here on the 116 Life here on channel 140 here on Sirius XM on Holy Culture Radio. I got Ace Harris. We got Logan Russell. We're here talking about all things Logan. That's the whole basis of the episode. Okay, so we got to get into the placements, bro. Okay, so you have placed so many different songs in so many different places. And there's one that you mentioned that I really want to talk about. I can't wait to get into, because I remember I was in my parents' bedroom and I was like, is that Tadashi? Like, I was like looking, and it was the I think it was an iPhone, the Apple commercial, and then even also Netflix with the Blue Miracle. So can you talk a little bit about like the syncs that you play songs in, so on and so forth?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been crazy, especially like the past couple years. Like, I feel like we've gotten into some like different conversations, which has been really fun for our music. Like, just seeing that like we're not just, you know, this Christian label, or like, you know, putting out hip hop, like we're being put in respected, you know, commercials and films and all that stuff. Yeah, like the iPhone commercial with Tadashi's song "Get Out My Way." That was one from this earlier this year. Just like, obviously that's like a cool moment with like the song being in an Apple commercial. But I don't know if you saw the commercial. It's dope.
No, it is.
Like,
it is.
And that's like, sometimes when you're pitching for sync, you're like, I don't know, this may like be kind of cool, or it may be totally lame. Like it totally happens all the time, where you know, you're gonna get, you know, a big chunk of money for it, but it's like, either this is a cool opportunity or it's just whatever. So that one was definitely a really dope moment. And then we also partnered with the film Blue Miracle, which you were saying. I got to work heavily with the music supervisor for the film, Mary Ramos, who she does actually all of Quentin Tarantino's films.
She's amazing.
So it was, and she's the sweetest, nicest person like ever. So nice. But yeah, that was a really cool opportunity, because we got to like, you know, put all of our music in the film. There was only like 2 songs that weren't, you know, Reach's catalog. So yeah, that was really fun, and I got my name in the credits. So a little "Mama, I made it" moment.
A flex for real, yeah.
Shout out Olympia, we here, baby.
Yeah. So that was really dope. And then probably 2 of my favorites just came out.
Let's talk about them, yeah.
My 2 favorite syncs. One, we just got a Pizza Hut commercial with coming in hot, but I like to call it coming in hut now, because you know.
Oh, I love that.
He told y'all he was an artist, y'all.
And so that was really fun, like working through that. And we had just kind of like switch up some process like internally, and so that one was like us as Reach, like making it happen. So that was a really dope moment. If you've watched TV recently, you might have seen it. It's funny though, I've only seen it like one time.
I seen it the other day watching. I mean, I watch basketball. And I'm on ESPN all the so I was like, hey, I was like, hey, babe, check out our songs on the on the TV.
Oh, that's such a flex.
So that's been really fun seeing that one. And then I always feel like you're kind of lucky if you get like one song or, something in a film. But the new Gran Turismo movie, we got 2 songs.
Talk about it.
Songs.
That's
So we
really
got
good.
Coming in Hot and Get Out My Way. There's a connection here with these songs. They work well. And so yeah, like we went as like a full staff to go see it. So it was really dope to like experience the movie, and it's a good movie. Like it's a good film. But yeah, like getting 2 songs in that was just like, okay, like let's go.
So talk about like a kind of an underdog moment in a sync that maybe wasn't as well known as those that you worked on. That was like you were super excited to kind of put your hands to and see happen. If you can name like one or two that was like, man, this one was really special. May not have been on like an ESPN commercial or whatever.
Yeah. One of them was kind of early on, which I come back to a lot. Is we had a song from Tadashi. We came to play that wasn't out yet, and it was just kind of like a sitter track. Like it was like, this is a little, I don't know where it fits, like project wise, like it just, isn't going anywhere. And we had started just like, well, like let's pitch it for sync. Like it sounds like a sports world commercial. And that ended up getting, before it was ever released, it got on like a little Adidas spot and like a nice little chunk for Tadashi, and like paid for the song, like before it's even out. And so I would say that was one of my favorite moments where like we got to see like, oh, like this is really beneficial for artists,
right? And
it doesn't even have to be released,
right?
Like, which it ended up getting released.
Sure, I think summer 18 playlist. Shout out Cannon too for killing that verse.
Yeah, no, it's so good,
and for his publishing percentage,
Hey, come on, takes a team.
Takes a team.
So yeah, I mean, there's been other placements. I mean, the only one that can come to mind right now is that one. Just because like, yeah, it really like, I think shifted the culture here about sync, where it's like,
sure,
oh, there's like opportunities that we can get into with not just like songs already out there. And so that's definitely started us like having more sync minded conversations with the artists and being like, hey, like, I know you like this song how it is, but here's just some thoughts if you want to make it more sync friendly, and not like taking away the genuineness of the song. But there's certain things that just like help, and that's not for every artist. Not every artist is going to be like, hey, I think that's a great idea, or like we should do that. And you really have to like trust the artist that what they're doing is what's true to them and what's working. And so
sure.
It's that kind of balance of like, we can make it a little bit more sync, but like it may take away from the like realness of the song. And so it's just kind of like figuring out what that
I'm sure people are probably listening and they're probably like curious because they're artists. We have a lot of artists that tune into our program, and they're probably like, all right, that's cool, but tell me, when you say make it more sync, what does that actually look like? And how do you, like, why would a Coming in Hot and a Get Out My Way get used in these big brand platforms? And as a Christian artist, do I have to like tone down my faith? Like talk about how do you navigate making art that is sync friendly in light of being a Christian artist, and what seems to be working? You know what I'm saying?
No, I think that's a great question. It's funny. I really think that like Christian artists have the best opportunity to make sync because it's clean. Like, like it's going to be a harder conversation to like,
sync a Young Jeezy.
Yeah. Or sync, whoever.
I'll tell you we on one. Shout out Jeezy. We on one.
Like honestly, like there's brands that don't care and just like will use whatever track. But I think that as Christians, especially, like we have the ability to be like, hey, like, you don't have to worry about this track, like with your audience, whatever, like, you know, we don't have to give you a bleep version or edit it or whatever. And so I think there's that side of things. I think I will say, like, the most used in anything really is the hook. So as long as you have the hook just a little bit more like general, or like coming in hot, that's very just like kind of broad, hits a broad audience. Get Out My Way. I would say, like, We Came to Play. I was trying to think of Wanda's song Woo. Like, it's just like kind of some simple, you know, that can go over different ideas, either in films or TV shows or commercials.
Right.
So I think that chorus-wise, you always want to be a little bit more broad with the lyrics, and then in the verses, say whatever you want. Like, say Jesus is your savior. Like, cool. Like, I just feel like there hasn't been a lot of conversations I've had that are like, oh, you said it in the verse, like, we're not going to mess with the rest of the song. Okay. Unless, like, they really want that first part.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's that side of things. I feel like there was something else I was going to touch on there. But I think, yeah, definitely, like, Christians have an opportunity to make songs that are like just empowering people, or empowering, like, just that conversation of, like, we have a joy inside of us, or like, we're strong because Jesus is strong. Like, you know, there's ways around it. Actually, one of my favorite stories is there's this dude, Sam Tenez, that I'm really good friends with, and he's got a song, This Is How Legends Are Made. Mm-hmm. And it's more in the, like, rock space, but the lyrics are crafted. Like, when you actually look at them, dang, what are the lyrics? It's like, I got a spirit up inside my bones or something. And he's like, that's about the Holy Spirit. Like, like the way he, like, crafted it.
Right.
And then This Is How Legends Are Made. It's like, I don't know. Jesus wants you to be a legend, probably, you know?
I think that's super dope and insightful. Yeah. I don't want people to hear you say, take Jesus out the music.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is sync friendly lyrics and writing. There's a strategy, a tactic.
Yeah.
I would argue there's a strategy and tactic in making worship music too. So, which I don't think is bad in and of itself. I think it's about the intent in which you put into the music that is a good barometer whether something was disingenuous. But I think yeah, I mean, that's super dope. We gotta talk about Lofi Sunday.
Lofi Sunday. Can we talk about it, please? Only because
let's talk about it.
Personally, I have been such a fan of lo-fi music in general, just because it's just like a great way to either like start my day or just like, you know, wind down and things like that. And then when Lofi Sunday came out, I was like, oh, like amazing. And you're behind that, Logan. Like, can you talk about like the part that you play with Lofi Sunday here at Reach?
Yeah. I mean, so it kind of got birthed out of, I started doing lo-fi music a couple years ago. Mostly because I was listening to lo-fi playlists and I was like, I produce, like I could do this. Like I could, and you don't have to wait on artists. Like you can just put out beats that sound good. At the beginning, mine were not good, so don't listen to those. But yeah, we just like have started this conversation about Lo-Fi Sunday. Like it really started in like 2020, which we had put out an instrumental like playlist of like Reach songs, work beats. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, I think it was called
work beats.
I think it was called work beats. Yeah.
And so from there, I just like found like a group of like Christian producers who, you know, Christian producers, artists who make lo-fi music and, you know, are passionate about Jesus, but also like make lo-fi, which I know that's like a hard thing to like how can I be Christian or anything?
The chord progression is inspired by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Holy Spirit.
You got the G sus chord, you know.
I feel
I'm
it.
dead. I'm dead. Yo, chill. There are Jesus chords though.
Yeah, there is a
in Christian culture,
Jesus chord.
There's definitely a progression we can.
Yeah.
Whether that's a good thing or not, you know.
Yeah, we pray over all the beats before they go out.
Yo, there's like vocal samples of prayers on the beats.
Yeah. And so really just like started finding these artists really all over the world too, which is super sick. And I've had conversations, like there's this dude, Mark, that I communicate with a lot, and he's in India. And then there's a couple dudes in the UK and like all over in the US. Actually, there's this one dude I just met, Yoni, who is from Bermuda.
Wow,
Which
it's crazy.
I didn't know where Bermuda was, like in reality.
Somewhere in the Caribbean, I'm thinking.
No,
Where's it at?
it's straight out.
Oh, it's like by
It's-
DC, like okay, Atlantic Ocean vibes.
Yeah, it's just straight out into the Atlantic.
That's why I started not to guess because I knew
Yeah,
I didn't.
I thought it was like
And he was like, "Hey, you should have kept that one to yourself."
you're just out of yourself.
yeah, by the Caribbean, over there by Hawaii somewhere.
And like he's killing it and like making content. And so all of this kind of just like formed into trying to create like a culture of like rest and like slowing down.
Yeah. That's amazing. The heart behind it.
Yeah.
As someone who works in music, obviously you do too. Me, I know you be playlisting, and sometimes you need a day to just not hear a bunch of like
Yeah, man.
intense music.
Yeah.
You need to just chill.
Yeah.
And also get off social media. And I think the Lofi Sunday serves that purpose really well. Now I'm like, I gotta submit some beats to Logan so I can get some Lo-Fi beats going. So
Lo-fi ace.
Lo-Fi Ace coming soon, y'all. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to leave the people with, Logan, in terms of your journey, your posts here at Reach doing handling sync, and anything? Just or how people can also find you as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm on all social medias as the Logan Russel, THE Logan Russel. But I don't know, man. I feel like what I've learned is like you can't rush the process a lot of times, and it's just like depending on God through it all. Because I feel like I just turned 30, and so I'm like, I'm not where I want to be, but like, whatever. But I think I think God's showing me stuff and slowing me down, and like, especially the next 10 years, I feel like I'm gonna get more focused on like what God actually calls me to. Because I love a bunch of things, like paint with like big strokes on stuff, but I think just knowing that God has a plan and that he's like working through every little step. Like I, probably didn't think I was going to be here doing this podcast right now. But God had a different plan, different story. So
that's amazing. Shout out Logan Russel. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm here with my co-host
Meah Evans right here. We'll see you guys next week right here on the 116 Life.